Hey, good morning, everybody. How we doing? Good morning. Is this like a hooey kind of day? All right, so how many did the 10-miler yesterday? Very good. Give yourself a round of applause. How about it? Okay, so good morning. My name's Ken Preston, Sergeant Major of the Army, retired, and welcome to this professional development forum. And you know, for all the soldiers and the non-commissioned officers that are here this morning, what I want to do is I want to start out and tell you that for the next 3 days, this is a professional development forum. So I encourage you to pull out your notebooks, pull out your 3x5 cards, because you're going to see a lot of senior leaders, a lot of folks here talk about the Army. And this is an opportunity to hear this morning from some great senior leaders, General Ham, as well as the Sergeant Major of the Army. And you want to take everything that you gain during the next 3 days and take that back to your units. And, as I've always used to say, the knowledge that you gain here is not solely yours to keep, but yours to take and impart unto others in your units and organizations. So welcome. And our host today for this forum is Sergeant Major of the Army, Michael A. Grinston. SMA, thanks very much for being here with us. Round of applause. I also want to recognize the 15th Sergeant Major of the Army, Sergeant Major of the Army Dan Daly, that's here with us. We have some international Sergeants Major of the Army I want to recognize as well. We have the Sergeant Major of the Army for the British Army, WO1 Regimental Sergeant Major Gavin Patton. This is the first annual meeting here and welcome, okay, particularly now in your position. We have the Sergeant Major of the Army for the New Zealand Army, WO1 Regimental Sergeant Major Clive Douglas. SMA, thanks very much. We have the Sergeant Major of the Army for the Republic of Korea Army, Command Sergeant Major Kim. Sergeant Major, where are you at? Sergeant Major, thanks very much. We have and I will tell you too, Command Sergeant Major Kim is also a graduate of Class 51, United States Army Sergeant Majors Academy. So Sergeant Major, thanks very much for being here. Do we have any Class 51 graduates left here? There you go. There's another one back there as well. We also have the Command Sergeant Major of Land Forces, United Arab Emirates, Command Sergeant Major Hassan. Sergeant Major. And also, too, this is a plug for Command Sergeant Major Sellers and the Sergeant Majors Academy. Command Sergeant Major Hassan is also a graduate of the United States Army Sergeant Majors Academy, Class 69. And so a very large class. So we have any graduates from Class 69 in here? One in the back? Good. So anyways, everywhere you go, Sergeant Major, you're going to have friends. We have some Sergeant Major of the Army William G. Bainbridge Award recipients here this morning. I know I saw Command Sergeant Major retired Andrew McFowler. Sergeant Major McFowler in the back. We also have Command Sergeant Major retired Jimmy Spencer. And there are also a number of other non-commissioned officers that are here with us this morning I want to recognize, and I'll start first with the 22 non-commissioned officers and soldiers who just competed in the Best Warrior competition. Gentlemen, thanks very much for being here with us. Of course, nobody knows who the NCO and Soldiers of the Year is. We won't know that until lunch today. We also have with us the United States Army Drill Sergeant of the Year, Staff Sergeant Ernest J. Knight II. Thanks very much. We have the United States Army Recruiter of the Year, Staff Sergeant Jonathan E. Hagan. The United States Army National Guard Recruiting NCO of the Year is not with us here today. He's off attending a professional development school, which is where he's supposed to be when he's supposed to go to school. But we do want to recognize him in the Army National Guard. So United States Army National Guard Recruiting NCO of the Year is Sergeant First Class Todd Crawford. So give him a applause. We have the United States Army Reserve Recruiter of the Year, Sergeant First Class Jordan S. Ferrari. Sergeant Ferrari. And we have the Regular Army Career Counselor of the Year, Sergeant First Class Rolanda Wilder. And we have the Active to Reserve Component Career Counselor of the Year, Sergeant First Class Eric Ramos. Sergeant Ramos, thanks very much. So before I turn the podium over to our host of this year's annual meeting for the Association United States Army, General Carter Ham, I want to leave you with a few data points. So 7 things. So for all of you out there taking notes, you can make little notes. Okay, first, General Ham enlisted in the Army in 1973. He commanded the 1st Infantry Division. Huh? I mean, if you're going to be one, be a big red one, right? Okay, he served as the commander, United States Army Europe. He also served as the combatant commander for United States Africa Command. He spent 38 years in uniform. He retired in 2013. And prior to joining the Association United States Army, General Ham served as the chairman for the National Commission on the Future of the Army. And that was an 8-member panel that was selected by Congress to look at the Army force structure, capabilities, and size across all 3 components of the Army. And I would tell you that General Ham is a muddy boot soldier. He's one of us. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome General Carter Ham.
Good. Thanks, SMA. He forgot the most important title. I'm a soldier for life, and so are you. All right, it's a good thing. Hey, I am not a graduate of the United States Army Sergeant's Major Academy class of nothing, all right? But I was, when I was a young soldier, I was the driver for my battalion command sergeant major. So I don't know if that's equivalent or not. I'm not quite sure. Welcome for all of you, and Sergeant Major of the Army Preston appropriately recognized all. There's a reason why this event is the very first official event of the agenda for the annual meeting of the Association of the United States Army. It is because your association, we recognize that excellence begins with non-commissioned officers, and the leaders of non-commissioned officers are assembled in this room. The future leadership and the senior non-commissioned officers of the Army are gathered here this morning. Our international partners are here, and so we're ready to get this thing started, but you can't start it without you. I also recognize that there's a small number of very wise and very astute officers who have snuck in here, all right? Because they recognize that if you want to hear ground truth, if you want to hear what's really going on in the Army, right here, this room is the place to be. You're going to hear from secretaries, you're going to hear from the chief, you're going to hear from generals and all kinds of people. This is the opportunity to hear from the Sergeant Major of the Army, and that's a very, very big deal. So on behalf of all of us at the Association of the United States Army, congratulations for those soldiers and non-commissioned officers of excellence. I know that's a little bit nervous for the next couple of hours, but no matter whose name is called, you are all soldiers and non-commissioned officers of excellence. You are the standard bearers of the Army going forward. Heartiest congratulations to all of you. So as we get ready to kick this thing off, again, thanks for joining us this morning. We hope you will find these next few days professionally rewarding, inspirational, educational, but it's also okay to have a little bit of fun. And we'll have some of that as we move forward as well. So again, on behalf of your association, thanks for all that you do for our Army, for our nation, for soldiers, families, veterans, retirees. Thanks for being here this morning. We look forward to a wonderful, wonderful next 3 days at the annual meeting of the Association of the United States Army. And I think now my privilege to turn it over back to the 13th Sergeant Major of the Army, Sergeant Major of the Army, retired Ken Preston. All right, thank you.
Okay, General Ham first, thanks very much, and we greatly appreciate you being here. How about another round of applause for the boss? Okay, so before I introduce our host, let me give you a couple administrative notes, so you can write these down as well. So our next event after this forum is the opening ceremony, which is up in the main ballroom on the 3rd floor of the South Convention Hall. So this hall here is the North Convention Hall. When you walk out down that hallway, you'll cross over the street into the South Convention Hall. And then up on the 3rd floor in the big ballroom is the opening ceremony. 4-star Command Sergeant Majors can sit with their commander in the 4-star seating area. All nominative Command Sergeant Majors at the 3-star level and below are welcome to sit with their commanders or join their peers in the Sergeant Majors seating, which is up towards the front in the seating area. There's this area up there for Sergeant Majors. Today, the U.S. Army NCO and Soldier of the Year recognition luncheon begins at 12:30 to 14:30, and that'll be in room 146, which is, when you go out this door down the hallway, it's on the right-hand side. Tomorrow morning, Tuesday, the Sergeant Major of the Army's Professional Development Forum will be held from 9:30 to 11 back here in this room. Okay, so 9:30 to 11 tomorrow. So for everybody, you won't want to miss that. And we will start the event by doing some recognition for some retention non-commissioned officers, our Strickland and Kilpatrick Award recipients. Wednesday morning, there's a tour of Arlington National Cemetery, the Tomb of the Unknowns, the stables, and a windshield tour of all the Washington, D.C. monuments. For those that go on the tour, I guarantee that you will see far more of the old guard and far more of the Washington, D.C. and Arlington National Cemetery than you will than just a normal tourist. The tour is also scheduled for all of our outstanding and visiting soldiers and guests, and the tour will depart from 9th and L Street at 9 o'clock. Okay, 9th and L, which is out here between the buildings on the right-hand side as you're looking back to the south. The bus will leave at 9 o'clock and return back here no later than 1300. Now, appropriate civilian attire is recommended. And I say appropriate civilian attire. It's, slacks and shirt, no T-shirts, no flip-flops. Okay, everybody understands, right? No cutoff jeans. On your way back, please, in the back of the room back there, take a copy of the Sergeant's Time calendar. Okay, this is one of the things that we publish every year. Okay, and you'll see in there's quotes from former SMAs, the senior command sergeant majors in the Army, but it's a very good document to have. The other thing too is that's new is we published a graphic novel, and there are 4 Medal of Honor recipients in here that have been identified, and it goes from Sergeant Alvin York, Sergeant Audie Murphy. It's got Master Sergeant yes, Roy. I was trying to think of the first name. Roy Benavides, as I know Roy Benavides. So, and then of course Staff Sergeant Sal Junta. And so those are down at the AUSA Pavilion downstairs on the exhibit hall floor. Please make sure that all your soldiers and everybody that are in attendance. And as I look out here into the audience, and we're speaking about Medal of Honor recipients, I want to welcome Master Sergeant Leroy Petry here with us this morning. So Leroy, thanks very much. And I know that Master Sergeant Petry is going to stay with us. He's going to be here, throughout the next couple of days. So you honor us with being here with us this morning. So thanks very much. So with that, at this time, Alibi. Oh, we got Sergeant Bellavia. Okay, we got Staff Sergeant David Bellavia. Staff Sergeant Bellavia, please. And that's very cool to have 2 Medal of Honor recipients here with us. And gentlemen, thanks very much for both of you being here. So with that, at this time, I'm going to turn it over to our Sergeant Major of the Army, Sergeant Major of the Army, Michael A. Grinston.
Okay, good morning. So here we are, and people go, hey, the Sergeant Major of the Army. And I keep looking, I'm like, he's right here. So I'm really proud to be the 16th Sergeant Major of the Army, but that kind of explains how I feel. I'm going to be honest with you. Every time somebody says the Sergeant Major of the Army, I really do look around for someone else. I'm not saying I'm not proud to be here. It's that, you know, your whole life you watch the Sergeant Major of the Army, it's somebody, you know, when you're a young soldier, it's a picture, and hopefully you get to meet one of those. And then as you get older in life, you get to know them, and they become great friends, and then you never just think that all of a sudden you pop out and you're that guy. And I will tell you, it's a hard competition, and we were talking about it this morning, and you know, we're talking about people and things, and I said, well, there could have been 4 other folks standing right here. It's just, we're just that good in the United States Army that we have 4 to 5 sergeant majors right now that have the same caliber that I have, and I just say that I'm just kind of lucky that I got this opportunity to be here, and I'm proud to say that I'm the 16th Sergeant Major of the Army. There are 2 groups I do want to, you know, SMA Preston, thank you for having me here, and SMA Daly, I will thank him for a long time now, because I watched him be a professional and a person that we can all mirror ourselves by. And you've often heard me say there will never be another SMA Daly, and I truly believe that. There will never be another SMA like Dan Daly. So thank you for being a friend and a mentor all these years. But we also have 2 Medal of Honor recipients here. So Leroy Petry, I've seen him several times up in Seattle when I was JBLM. And the newest recipient in this little group here, David Bellavia. Everybody keeps asking me, oh, did you know him? You're in the big grade 1. Well, you're in Fallujah, I was in Beijing. And those 2 didn't connect. So if you know, if you've been to that period, if you were deployed in that period of time, you know it was tough fighting. And it was tough fighting all across the country. And thank you both for being here. So let's talk about our great Army. So first of all, I'm going to let you know, I'm going to leave 30 minutes. No matter what I'm talking about, I'm going to stop, I guess now in 13 minutes. So I want to give you 30 minutes to ask questions. I want to put that up right up front. So you get an opportunity to kind of come and ask me questions. You get another opportunity at the Non-Commissioned Officer Professional Leader Development Forum, because those folks, some of them sitting right up here, going to have the AMC, AFC, ForceCom, and TRADOC are going to be on a panel. So you get another opportunity to ask questions, but I want to put that up front so you go ahead and think about some really good things you always want to know about the Army. Okay, so I say that. So what I did, I'm going to show you a few slides. So the Chief of Staff of the Army said, here's my priorities. Here's where I'm going with the Army. And what I did is I took that and said, well, okay, how do I operationalize that? What does that mean? What's the meat behind it when we say housing and we say fitness and all these things? So you're going to see some things. This is where I want to go with the Army. But this is not the end-all, do-all. You know, I said I'm the 16th Sergeant Major of the Army, but I'm your Sergeant Major of the Army. So when you see this and you say, you know, I really would like this. Okay, what I want you to do is send Sergeant Major Jones a note. And then he'll, no, that was, you guys got to lighten up. That was actually kind of funny. But what I want to do is, I actually want to pitch these to you, but I want your feedback. I really do want your feedback. Because if I'm the Sergeant Major of the Army, I'm your Sergeant Major of the Army. And then how are we going to move this forward? Okay, next slide. Okay, we're going to start off with, this is my squad. So some people say, Sergeant Major, that sounds a lot like not my squad. It does. So I wanted to turn it around. And it really hit home when I said, and I'm, let's see, Brian in here, Sergeant Major Flum. So Sergeant Major Flum walked up, and I was really thinking about it, and he heard me talking about it. He's in the headquarters, Pentagon. He said, I want to come up with something different, but I want to turn this on its head. I want to look at the positive things that happen. And he walked up and said, Sergeant Major, what about this is my squad? So when you talk about somebody and you see somebody, do you call them, that's the division Sergeant Major? Or is that my division Sergeant Major? That shows ownership, something you're proud of. You want to say, this is my squad. This is my squad leader, and this is my squad. Because I don't let anything happen to my squad. I take care of them. I train them. So it's a concept. It's something we're going to think about. This is going to be the driving force. And it really is a different way of looking at things. And we got to do this even in the Pentagon. So we're in a meeting, actually looking at suicide. And the top thing on what was the first unit we had that we were looking at on suicides? I didn't say unit. So what was but it was the unit with the most suicides, right? And then we worked our way down. When you think of this as my squad and you think of something positive, what would you put at the top of that slide? Say again? There you go. The unit. I got coins. There you go. Yeah. He said the unit with the least. There you go. Now you're getting it. You're getting the idea. You're getting the thought is that why wouldn't we have the unit, the brigade that had no suicides? And look at what they're doing to build a cohesive team that says, this is my squad, and I'm not going to have anything happen to them. So you understand, that's where I'm going with that. We got a lot of work to do on that. But I want you, when you say that, I want you to think, is this my squad? Am I building a cohesive team with that? And what are the positive aspects that I can reinforce that every organization needs to have? This is my squad. Okay, next. We're going to look, go back. We might not ever get to past slide 1. Okay, so the next topic right up here is really want to focus in on the mid-grade NCOs. I think we've done a great job with AUSA, 22 weeks for 11 Bravos. We're going there with some 19 kilos, 19 deltas. But I really need to focus in on the sergeant, staff sergeant, and sergeant first class. And out of those, it's the staff sergeant. Staff sergeants are the ones we need to be drill sergeants. We need you to be recruiters. We need you, in abundance for SFABs. We got to build everything almost hinges on the staff sergeant. That's why I go back to topic number 1. This is my squad. What are the positive aspects that we can get a staff sergeant at the appropriate level to have a great cohesive team? And you're going to hear the chief talk about cohesive teams. And that's where I'm going to focus in on. What can we do to give them stabilization? What can we do to have them in their units to be a master of their craft at that level, at the sergeant, staff sergeant, sergeant first class? And we're looking at one of those things right there is the YMAT code. So can we stabilize them? It's kind of like a DROS, like, hey, are you on station long enough in grade to be an expert at your job? So if you're a sergeant, then you get promoted to staff sergeant, and then 8 months later, you PCS to be a drill sergeant, recruiter, SFAB, or something else. Did we actually give you time in grade as a staff sergeant to be a master of your trade? We're trying to look at that. See, maybe we can keep them in there, in that job, in the skill set for 2 years. So then when you go out, you get 2 years as drill sergeant, you make sergeant first class, you've already been grounded in the fundamentals at your job. Most everybody on this front row were grounded in their skill set at the staff sergeant level. They were experts as an infantryman, as an aviator, as a logistician. They did all these things and they got that foundation at the staff sergeant. And how can we bring that back? We're looking at that. So stabilization codes. Next slide. There you go. Okay, we're going to award some expert soldiers badge. I am really been championing this for like 2 to 3 years now. And I told those soldiers about 3 years ago, I promised. I said, when we do this, I'm going to be there depending on. I just didn't know I was get to be the SMA when we're going to do it today. So I'm really proud that we actually got this done. We got it through. This is good for our Army. And I pitched this a couple of times when I was at the pre-command course. And somebody said, Sergeant Major, we don't have time to do that. I said, okay, you don't have time to do this. I just want to make sure you understand that here we are, we're in combat, you got shot, your leg is bleeding, and the soldier that runs up to you doesn't know how to put on a tourniquet. So I just want to make sure you're okay with that. Those are the tasks for Expert Soldier Badge. It's warrior task and battle drills. It's not, how to, rig a T10 or T11 parachute. It's not, we're not doing anything exciting. It's the warrior task and battle drills. And can you master those? So when you run up, your battalion commander is kind of bleeding a little bit, you put that one other tourniquet on and everything's going to be okay. So I think we have to have time to work on Expert Soldier Badge. And I think 7th ID beats CIMT to the punch. I think they're running that right now. Oh, he's like, Sergeant Major. It's a collaboration. Okay, I got it. So there's 2 running right now? Yes. Yes, right? Yes. Yeah, so Sergeant Major Mitchell doesn't want to be beaten out. Okay, I'm with you. Okay, so 7th ID and CIMT running one of those right now. So really appreciate when you get back to your units, if you're a soldier in here, you should say, hey, when are we going to do our Expert Soldier Badge? If you're a brigade or a division or a Corps Sergeant Major in here, make sure when you get to those readiness briefings, those training meetings, that you have those things on there before you get to the big stuff. If you're not grounded in the fundamentals, are we really going to be ready for that next combat? There's a bunch of other things on that topic, on that slide. If you get a chance, look at that. We're still working on this change to AR 600-20. And if you've even been close to me in the last couple of years about NCO authority, we got to get our policies to match what our NCOs are doing. And we got to make sure that we empower you, that you're not afraid to take some action. I want you to be able to go up, you see something wrong, and you go, stop what you're doing, and you don't have to look over your shoulder because the policies match your actions. That you have the ability to do some corrective action. I'm not talking hazing and bullying. I'm not saying go out there and have somebody, hanging upside down on a tree for like 4 hours or anything like that, because we don't do that anymore. But I want you to get the little things right, to be able to be comfortable to walk up and say, stop that. And then I got your back because it's written in policy. And we're working hard to get that change, a little change to the 600-20 that says it's okay for you to take some corrective action. It says it's in there, but I want to give a little bit more specificity for the NCOs so you understand that you're not afraid to go out and you don't have to look over your shoulder to do some action. Because we have to have you to do that. When you're in combat, you can't look over your shoulder. Oh, wait, I think I need to assault that. So we got to get you some practice on that before you get there. Okay. And the ACFT seems to be a great topic lately. Yeah, everybody loves the ACFT. I really like the ACFT. It's good for the Army. It is really good for the Army. It's hard. It's really hard. But guess what? We got 2 soldiers in here right now that maxed it. Go ahead and stand up. What you got? And I was talking to him, you just had to change how you're doing things a little bit. You didn't have to, it's like, well, Sergeant Major had to do this or that. You didn't, that's what I really like about the ACFT. You can't just come in and just go, this is what I've done in the past, and it's not going to work on this ACFT. It's just not. That's the whole reason we changed the combat fitness test. We changed the PT manual like 15 years ago, and then we still had units doing the exact same thing because we never changed the test. Like all the things you need to do to get ready for the ACFT are in the manual. They've been in there. We just weren't doing them because we didn't change the test. Push-up, sit-ups, run. So you're now going to have to work at this. And so I say, well, I posted my latest ACFT card. But what I didn't post, and I wish I would have, is like 2 years ago, or a year and a half, I did, I put one together at ForceCom, and I promise it was nowhere near the score that I got about 2 weeks ago. It wasn't even close. But what I did, we had to train. I had to do deadlifts. I promise you, I could not lift over 135 pounds the first time I did the first deadlift. It was like, okay, well, I got to work on that. But I had to work on it, and you can do it. So if you're out there, you're like, this is terrible, I can't do it. I go, hey, did you try it? Have you actually taken the ACFT? Have you ever did a deadlift in your life? Oh, no, Sergeant Major. Okay. Well, there you go. If you keep saying, I can't do it, then you're not thinking about, this is my squad, because in my squad, we can do anything. We can do it if I take the time to train for it. Okay. The second piece I do want to talk about very quickly is nutrition. I think a lot of times we talk about the physical fitness, but we also have to look at how we're going to fuel that. Sometimes I say you can ruin a good workout by what you eat. So right after the run, some soldier's sitting there, he's run 10 miles and he's choking on like 2 muffins as we're going there. I was like, well, all those calories you burned on that 10-mile run are right there in those 2 muffins right there. So we have to look at how we fuel the body and how we train the body become more efficient, and we may need to change how we look at our dining facilities. We've been doing that. We've been doing Go for Green. We have the healthy food initiatives, but I want to even take this further. And so we've got dietitians. We're trying to get those out to every brigade in the Army so that you know what you should be fueled with. We're trying to get an app so when you go in there and not just have red, you got the red is bad for you and the green's good for you, and it's on a little label. You should be able to come in and say, okay, today I'm going to have some chicken, I'm going to have this and this, and based off of how I exercised and this diet, what is that going to do? Is that the proper fueling that I need to make myself healthy? So those are some of the things we're looking at. Not just we're getting better food in the DFACs, but also looking at other ways that we can do that. Okay, next slide. We've heard the Chief of Staff, if you hadn't heard him lately, and it's been a couple months, he says people first. And then he has these 5 quality of life initiatives. There are 2 that I'm focusing on all of these. None of them more important than the others, I promise. But there are 2 that I really want to focus in on. We had a lot of attention on the family housing. I'm putting a lot of attention on the barracks. So if I come to your camp post station, I promise you, I am going to walk through your barracks. It's going to happen. You're going to try to get me to go in one direction, and I'm probably going to go in any direction that I want. It's going to happen. Yeah, Sergeant Major, let's go over here. And I was like, okay, that's awesome. I may actually walk there for about 1 second, and then we're going to go to somewhere else. We have to look at our barracks, and we got to make sure the barracks ratings match what our soldiers are living in. If they don't, then I need to know that so we can get the money to make our barracks better. If we don't have the ratings right, that's all we see is, the barracks are good. They're Q1. You go in there and there's a big hole in the bathroom and the roof. Like, well, it's a Q1 rated barracks. So therefore, why would we put more money in that barracks? It doesn't make sense. So we got to make sure the ratings. That's why I'm walking in the barracks. Make sure, are we headed in the right direction in the Army? Okay, housing. And it's all housing. So it's not just, I'm just telling you about the one piece I'm going to really focus in on. And the last one is on there is the PCS moves. Transcom, the United States Army Transcom is doing a great job. The Chief of Staff, we're trying to get all things, put it under one umbrella. We're going to talk a lot about that at the Family Forum, but we've got to get, there's a couple of things you worry about when you move, right? It's like schools, your housing, and then, am I going to get my stuff and then get to work? If I can't get my stuff and get to work, that's all I worry about. It's say, okay, my kid's in school, do I have a place to live, and did I get my stuff? Then after that, that's how we take care of soldiers and we get them to work. So those 2, barracks, a place to live, and then the PCS moves. And then there's some other things in there. And then I said, I promise I'm going to cut it off. You look at that, next slide, see if there's anything else. There you go. This is some of the things we're going to look at. Nco Talent Management, we just did our first board. SMA Daily talked about this for about a year. Just had the first board where we actually ranked order them by talent. Not by time in service, not by time in grade. It's ranked by, are your records the best? Then you're number one. And that board just happened. Okay? There are a couple other things we're going to work on there. And last on there is if you haven't looked at the cross-functional team, soldier lethality, that's a big focus. How do we that goes back to the expert soldier badge. Are we lethal? Can we? And how do we measure lethality? So if you look at it, we hadn't actually measured lethality. Like there's no rating, there's no code. We're actually trying to assign a rating and a code to the soldier lethality. And they're doing that through the soldier performance model. And what we did for the best warrior competition, they got these little dots and badges on them, and they got cool watches that kind of measured their heart rate. And we were going to see if these are the best soldiers we have, again, thinking positive, how can we take that metric and then make more of those? So we looked at all the things that they did. We're going to try to measure that. And then if we can quantify that, then if we know if you're not meeting that, then what do we need to do to get you to that level? That you're the same level of fitness and proficiency as the best warriors. Okay? So we did a little study even within the best warrior competition. Okay. Next. There you go. And there's a quote. I went like 6 minutes too long. We got 24 minutes that I've left for questions, and then I'll stand here. Again, I am really proud to be your Sergeant Major of the Army, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen to a little bit of the initiatives, and I really wanted to save some time for questions. So let's go. Or we just stand here. There's always got to be the first one. So we got two. What you got, Sergeant Major? Now, I think we are streaming live, so they probably want you to use a microphone so that people around the world can hear your question. No pressure.
It's live. Go ahead. Thanks, sir. Sergeant Major, we talk about lethality and all that stuff, especially in the soft skill MOSs, signal, ordnance, and all that stuff. What is the possibility of bringing something like MCT into the force, Marine Combat Training, to build up that lethality within the soft skills and not just the infantry and combat arms?
Yeah. The Marine Combat.
Right after boot camp, they go to do 3 weeks of straight infantry training, then they go on to their MOS school. Sergeant Major.
Okay. Is that something you want to do?
I think it would help out because as a signal leader, rarely do I do warrior tasks and battle drills, Sergeant Major.
Okay. Yeah, we're not going to do that, probably, at all. Okay, so number one, that's why I was talking about the expert soldier badge, because I'll be able to know what units. First of all, I'm not sure about this whole soft skill, hard skill thing. Here's what I do know. In combat, everybody fights.
Yes, Sergeant Major.
So actually, soldier even thought, Sergeant Major, if I got one of those, those MOSs, I was like, that doesn't go to combat, or, I'm like, are you in the U.S. Army? I'm like, I don't know. When it says U.S. Army, that means we all go somewhere. We don't have that job that nobody goes anywhere. Sergeant Major, I work in a hospital. Got a lot of hospitals in combat. What if you got put out in one of those cops where all of a sudden people were overrunning that or running around? Would you want to be able to take out your rifle and shoot back? I'm assuming yes. So I don't understand. Sometimes people think that I've watched a lot of MOS that didn't think they were going to be right there. All of a sudden they were there, and they were really hoping they'd probably done some of those things on the expert soldier badge. So that's what we're talking about. So we're not going to make 3 more weeks. That comes at a cost. You can't just add 3 weeks to anything without a cost. And I'm not talking about the money cost, it's the time cost. Because you want medics, you want more 42s, you want all those in your units. Well, as soon as we make it 3 weeks longer, those are hundreds of soldiers that are not going to be in your units for 3 more weeks. So we're probably not going to do that. But the answer to that is that everybody should be going through and getting an opportunity to do the expert soldier badge. And the other thing that was on there was bring back, a lot of people call it soldier's time, but it's leader training time. It was on the slide. And that's where you get an opportunity to do that. If we can slow down, and I'd say it's by installation, the Senior Mission Command installation says, okay, we're going to do it this day. And it's not exactly for all the combat MOSs. I expect an infantry soldier to be doing those tasks all day. It's so the infantry soldier doesn't go to the PAC office, to the S1 and go, hey, while they're doing their sergeant's time training, that you don't go and interrupt that. So if we can kind of normalize that, that's the whole premise by that leader training time or sergeant's time training. So that everybody gets an opportunity to actually focus in on some of those things you just haven't done in a while. And then at the end of that, you do an expert soldier badge. Okay, and we can do that. The plan is to do that by installation. The hard part is Compo 2 and 3. How do we do sergeant's time when you only get 1 week in a month? And I'm still working, I don't know if John Sampa's in here, or Sergeant Major Sampa, is how do we get that? Do we get 4 hours every 6 months or once a year? I'm not sure. But that's the hard part, is how do we get some leader time training and expert soldier badge for our Compo 2 and 3 folks. Thank you. Okay, next question.
Sergeant Major, SMA, good morning to all the NCOs as well. My question is in reference to the Soldier for Life Transition Assistance Program.
Yes.
Very passionate about it, but I saw on your slide that you want to break them apart and do standalones for each one. Could you go into just a little bit more detail on that, Sergeant Major?
Yeah, sure. So it's just a naming. On this, I don't want to break it apart. I just want you to think Soldier for Life. And then there's a subset of that, that's the Transition Assistance Program. But right now, sometimes when I say Soldier for Life, what do you think? I think transition. It's two different things. When you join the military, right after that day, you're a soldier for life. That's it. I want you to think like that every day. You heard Joe Ham. He said, I'm a soldier for life. We all got really cool titles, right? You get the Sergeant Major of the Army. That's not my favorite title, by the way. It's still Alexandra's husband and Sophia and Isabella's dad. Those are my two favorite titles. But one of those good titles would be Soldier for Life. And I want you all to have something like that. So when you come in, you get a Soldier for Life. And I don't want you to think that I'm getting out of the Army immediately as soon as you hear Soldier for Life. That's kind of what I'm trying to think. If I say Transition Assistance Program, I'm transitioning and not think that it's not part of being a soldier for life. I want you to be a soldier for life, and that carries from the day you join the Army to the day you die, period. And then a subset of that is transition. Does that make sense? So I'm not trying to break anything, change up. I just take the two different words. To me, it's two different meanings. Does that answer it? Good. What else? It's like the quietest group ever. It's just like, yes. Division, hey, I thought this would be like beat down SMA Grinston moment, but okay.
Hey, SMA, one question. Since you're talking about the Army Combat Fitness Test, and we're looking at all of the 60-some policies that has to change, can you talk about how that affect when you start looking at promotion? And what's some of your thoughts about how we want to look at the promotion system when you start looking for specialists going to sergeant and sergeant going to staff sergeant?
Yes. That's usually the big one. So we talk about this. We didn't have, I've got a couple of courses of action on how we're going to look at this, and I haven't got the final version of it yet. So, but I have 2 to 3 versions. So right now, I believe, may not have the exact number, 180 points for when you go through the fitness test. If you get max, you get 180. If you get some number lower than that, is that about right? You maxed it, somebody? Okay, so 180 promotion points. So one of the courses of action would be to lower that, and then I want to increase professional military education. Or maybe you get more points if you go to a professional military education. So if I go to Ranger School, maybe I'll get more promotion points. Because right now, the APFT is extremely weighted on your promotion points. 180 points, that's a pretty big chunk. So we're looking at to kind of maybe take that down and then maybe give you more points if you score expert with your rifle, because that's soldier lethality. So that if I don't score really high on the ACFT, you get to stay in the Army because you passed it, and that'll be good. If everybody in the Army passes the ACFT, that's going to be really good. But we don't want to weight it so much and then take some of that down and give some more promotion points to those things that make you still lethal. Weapons qualification, extremely lethal. Why do we make that? And if you get higher on that, you're going to get more points. So that's one of the things that we're looking at. That's one course of action. One course of action, somebody said, you know, we're going to make it go or no go on the ACFT. And that's one of the things we're going to look at. But right now, I think reducing the promotion points, that's one of the course of action that I'm in favor of. But that doesn't mean that's what we're going to go with. But that's how we're looking to change it from, and that's the big point, is from sergeant, from specialist to sergeant and sergeant to staff sergeant, because promotion points matter. Okay, then after that is your NCOR, but you still have to be fit. You got to pass the ACFT. Okay, does that answer your question? Good. Next. Yes. Sergeant.
SMA, good morning.
Good morning.
You spoke about broadening assignments and the importance of that for the mid-level NCOs. As a National Guardsman, we have a much smaller pool of those kinds of broadening assignments available to us, largely because it's very difficult for us to work with the other components at that kind of level. Are there any initiatives to kind of expand the ability of National Guardsmen and reservists to have those kinds of broadening assignments?
Right now, no. And this goes to all compos. I want you to be a master of your MOS, and then think broadening. Your number one thing that I would like you all at the sergeant, staff sergeant, and sergeant first class level is think, do I know my skill so well that I can go do a broadening assignment? Don't think I did my 2 years, now I can go do a broadening assignment. I want you to master. We're going to need you. I really want you at the staff sergeant level to be broadened. However, not to the detriment of knowing your skill so well that it's just time for you can go do something else. So right now, there's plenty of opportunities for broadening at all levels. Just looked at the OCLL fellowship. So we've got master sergeants in Congress. They go get a master's degree. Did you know that? He's like, Sergeant Major, I didn't know we had that. Yeah. You can go get your master's degree, George Washington. Yeah, you go to George Washington, get your master's degree for a master's sergeant, and you got to go work in Capitol Hill for 2 years. So there's plenty of opportunities for broadening. And matter of fact, one of the soldiers that are with me is an active guard, a National Guard soldier. So that's another one. If you want to come work for me, let me know. So I think there's plenty of opportunities for broadening assignments for all compos. Right now, my plan is not to expand that, because every time we say, hey, that's going to be something we're going to do, that I don't want to make sure that does not take away from you having time to master your trade and your job and your career field.
Thank you, Sergeant Major.
Probably not the answer you want. That's the answer that I have. Yes. Anyone else? No division, Sergeant Major? Nothing? Okay. Going once? Going twice? Okay. So I'll give you a little bit of your time back. I really want to say I really appreciate you taking the opportunity to be here today. And I want to actually thank General Ham. I know he kind of ran off. He didn't run off. He's got a lot of things to do with the opening ceremony. But think about the importance of our Army. I mean, in what other army around the world, would a retired four-star general come to the NCO Professional Development Forum as the first event of the day, and with every four-star GO active in the Army is probably in the building around here somewhere, the Chief of Staff, the Secretary of the Army, and General Ham comes and says, I just want to thank you all for coming to this forum. I think that says the faith that our officers have in our NCOs. That's actually, we have the greatest non-commissioned officer corps in the world. That's just kind of the way I believe, and I know it to be true to my heart. But we have that. Let's not forget, we also have the faith and the confidence of our officers in order to give us the authority that we need to do those things that I talked about in those initiatives. Without that, we wouldn't be able to achieve anything. And so it's the greatest part of this is that we don't want to lose the confidence that our officers have in us, that they can turn and say, hey, I just want you to take care of this. And then they go walk away and they have faith that you can actually do that action. And they give you full authority. You can hire, you can fire, you can do this and move these people around from this location to that location. You get it done. And then they can focus in on the strategic things and getting everything that they need to do. That's why some of the things that I put on that initiatives are so important, that we got to get that right, because we don't want to lose the trust and confidence in our officer corps. And more importantly, as an Army, we don't want to lose the faith and confidence of the American people that we know exactly what we're doing. And when they call on us and they say the United States Army, they know we're going to go there, we're going to be there, and we're going to win. And we don't want to lose that confidence in our officer corps, and we don't want to lose the faith of the American people. And that's why we do what we do, and I'm proud to be the 16th Sergeant Major of the Army. Thank you. Have a good day.